goddamn, I need IPA.
This is Beering Ain't Easy, your podcast for beer humor, dad humor, and beer tastings from Texas and beyond. So crack one if you got one and turn it up.
Welcome to Beering Ain't Easy, Season 2, Episode 28, with Ryan and Drew.
All right, y'all, we have a special treat tonight. Ryan and I are actually doing an episode live and in person, and we're here to declare that it is officially Stout season. Ryan, would you like to let the listeners know what the hell we're looking at in front of us today?
Yeah, the first night it hits 40 degrees. It gets into the 40s since, March of this year, and we're coming in strong with the Stouts now.
Yes, we are.
I don't remember if we talked about it on a previous podcast episode, but we got the Eureka Heights Advent calendar last year, and we've been holding on to some of the big ones we started getting. They gave us the 2021 Nuke the Whales, their bourbon barrel aged Imperial milk stout, but also in that pack was the 2020 variant, a 2021 variant with coffee and vanilla, and then a 2021 variant with coconut, pecans, cocoa nibs, and vanilla.
Ooh, yeah.
I can't think of a better way to try these than side by side. Let's try them all at the same time.
Yes, indeed. So would you say, Ryan, that we're going nucular?
We're going nucular on this.
For all our George W. fans out there. So I feel like before we get into these beers, I want to let them. I want to let them warm up a little bit. So there's been some interesting things going on in Houston lately. The Astros have won the World Series, world champion baseball team.
Yes, sir.
And there's been a couple beer related escapades ever since that championship. One of which is during the parade. One of our politicians in the state of Texas had a beer thrown at him. What did you think about that, Ryan?
I mean, it was amusing. I liked how Mr. Cruz afterwards gave a quote and said the dude had a noodle arm, which is like such a dad thing to say. But I mean, that thing was headed straight for his head. I would say the opposite. It wasn't a noodle arm. The dude was pretty on point.
Oh my God, it was a laser, and if that guy hadn't put his hand out to deflect it, it would have been a TKO. What's funny is like when you see the meme and just like internet aftermath from something like that happening. And the funniest one I saw, I can't remember who put it out there, but it was like, man, this new Carbach marketing campaign has gotten out of hand.
I love it.
But the other funny part about the championship was Mattress Mack. So for the folks that aren't Houston Astros fans or just Houstonites, which that's a very few amount of you out there, but Mattress Mack is like a legend. He's like the unofficial mayor of Houston. He sells mattresses. He basically gives away free mattresses if the Astros win. And he got into a little bit of a profanity-laced tirade after the Astros lost in a spectacular fashion. And he further entrenched himself as a Houston legend.
Oh, for sure. I feel like the last few years, Mattress Mack he's just putting himself out there. His bets have gotten bigger and bigger. He's just out there more and more. This profanity-laced tirade at a fan. He's actually doing political ads now, endorsing people. Like, I've been in Houston for 12 years, and he's been around this whole time, and I've never once seen him take like a hard stance on anything. And now he's just like, you know what? I'm putting my foot down. He's feeling himself.
And not only that, last but not least, he was on a float with Bun B, Paul Wall, God knows who else. He is a friggin' legend.
I'm sure a lot of people have seen it, but they came out with someone drew a cartoon of him as like a gangster, and like it's so appropriate. He's a straight G now, like for sure.
Why does a parade for a baseball championship need to be 40 hours long, and why does it need to include a bunch of floats of people that earned nothing? It should just be the team, right? Like that's all that people should be out there to cheer for. Why is Ted Cruz on a float? I mean, Mattress Mack, maybe I give it to him because he made history with his profanity-laced rant against the Phillies. But, I mean, how many extras do you... I mean, why is Andre Johnson on the float? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, and the dude that makes the grills was on there. Like,
Paul Wall.
I mean, yeah, with Paul, like, what? Like, what are we doing here? It doesn't surprise me that the politicians wanted to get in on this because it's like, that's very performative and that's like their jam. But
do you think people were really there to see those people? You know, they're there to see Jose Altuve and...
Oh, yeah. Which, yeah, speaking of seeing Jose Altuve... Did you see on the news the lines and people camping out at academies to go meet the players on their meet and greets?
Yes, that was amazing.
Insane.
So, last question on Mattress Mack before we start drinking these beers here. So, he's entrenched himself as legendary. You know, brewery is just sitting there like, damn it, we're going to make a Mattress Mack beer. What's it going to be called and who's going to be the first brewery to the scene?
This kind of sounds like something like Ingenious would move in on.
That is a really good guess.
I'm going to have to circle back on that, the name of that beer. I'm sure we could come up with some good ones.
I'll throw one out there. So you mentioned that graphic of him all G'd up. It's obviously that's the can art, but the beer is going to be called Return of the Mac.
Oh my God. That's it. All right. Thank y'all.
Mac.
Thank y'all for listening. We're done. This episode's over.
Thank you. I'll be here all week. All right. So I think it's time to get nucular.
I think so.
So what are we starting with, Ryan?
So I think we need to start with our control, a baseline. We need to do the 2021 because they're all going to be variants. 2021 is kind of our base. Then we're going to go 1 year older, and then we're going to do the variants of the 2021. So it makes sense to me. Let's start with that one. What do you think?
I love it. And to kick us off, I'm a really big fan of written word. And when a can takes the time to put something extra cheesy on their can, I'm going to read it on the air. So this one is particularly good. This bourbon barrel-aged Imperial milk stout will suplex your taste buds into Pleasure Town. Once this regal liquid hits your blowhole, you'll be ready to yodel your third-string karaoke jams. Why do we make this big, beautiful ale? I don't know. Gotta nuke something. Where do you even come up with something like that? You're just speechless.
I'm speechless.
And the can has got two whales that are blowholing together. I don't know. It's like co-blowhole.
Co-blowholing a mushroom cloud.
Yeah. Napalm.
I love that. My favorite part of that is probably the most subtle part of third string karaoke jams. I just love that.
Nice. So I don't know if you said it, but this beer is coming in at 11%. So between the two of us, we've got to put down 4 of these bad boys.
Yeah,
so
we got 11.
it's a long night.
4 11%ers that we're splitting here. I mean, have you tried the first one?
Yeah.
I think it's really well done. It's got like a lot of that bourbon flavor, but not like really any burn. And it's got a lot of like nice roasty stout to back it up. Like, I mean, if you want a barrel-aged stout, I would say like this is a pretty perfect example of what you'd be looking for.
What's interesting is that they're called Imperial milk stouts, but I mean usually when I think of a milk stout, I'm thinking of something that tastes a lot different. But this tastes closer to just a standard bourbon barrel-aged stout, Imperial stout versus a milk stout. So is the milk help take away that bourbon burn?
That's a good. That should be like an ask the brewer question, because I know like with milk stouts, it just like you add lactose, it adds like some creaminess, like just some like mouthfeel. It thickens it up a little bit. But I suppose that probably could soften up some burn from like a barrel aged. It would make sense to me. You can talk me into it. We'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like if we are adding small amounts of lactose here, I feel like it can't be a lot because it's still a very roasty stout, not take you away from like a big ass stout. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. So where you want to go next year? You want to go to the variants, or you want to try backing it up another year? I mean, we're basically trying this at a year old. So you want to back it up to 2 years, or you want to try a variant?
Let's back it up 2 years. Let's do this side by side, and then let's get funky with it.
So a lot of times when I try an aged beer, particularly like what we're drinking, 2 years old, there's like a very particular like age flavor to it. And I'm not really getting that, maybe like a hint. But mostly what I'm getting is a lot of that roastiness is falling out, and a lot of more of the bourbon flavor is coming through. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I can see that for sure. When you say the roastiness, it's almost like sometimes the bitterness of that roastiness. I don't get that as much. Yeah,
I think that yeah, I think you're spot on. Yeah, the bitterness of it dropped out. There's probably still some like kind of that roasty.
It's a little sweeter, but I do get, like you said, a little more of the bourbon there. It's pretty delightful. I feel like this is a beer that is worth aging.
It takes a lot for me to say that. I used to try to do the aging stuff, and I gave up on it and kind of turned against it pretty hard. But yes, I actually think I like this more than 2021, to be honest.
My problem is like if you really do it right and you see the people that have a big cellar, they'll go and buy like a whole bunch of stouts, and they'll always put aside like multiples that they'll cellar so that they can drink it. They can do the flights, but I'm always trying to like drink my oldest beer. It's like last in, first out kind of thing. So I feel like I rarely hold on to beers long unless I really just don't want to drink it.
Yeah, I used to like store it in a cool, dry place, like dark place, to like the extreme. Like I would like wrap bottles in foil to keep all the light out and like write on Sharpie like the dates and what was inside of it. It was I don't know, kind of weird and excessive. I'm not proud of it.
It was extra. I'm in love with this 2020 though.
Same.
It's really good.
Yeah, I was about to say, do you want to move on? And I was like, actually, you know what? I want to have one more sip, and then we'll talk about it.
I kind of want to hold on to a little bit of this one, and then when we're done with this episode, since it's good and cold outside, sit outside and finish the rest of that out there, freezing our ass off.
We have some Pac-12 after dark with some stouts out in the cold. I'm into this idea. So I wanted to ask you something. Well, let's move on to the next one. And then I want to talk to you about something.
Sure. So where are we going next? Are we going to go coffee and vanilla and then save the one that has all the shit in it till the end?
Yeah, we're going to go coffee and vanilla next and save the last one will be the coconut pecans, coconuts, and vanilla. You know, we're throwing everything in there. We'll save that for last. That'll be our grand finale.
Nice. I do love me some coffee and vanilla. Those are two of my favorite things in the world.
The normal variations taste like, if I didn't know any better, I would guess it had coffee in it. So I'm pretty excited to taste this one.
So you said you had something you wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
What you got on your mind?
Apropos of nothing, circling back to last week's episode about the kind of the perfect buzz for different events, we omitted a big one. Music concerts. We never talked about music concerts.
Ooh.
What do you think is the perfect kind of level for a music concert?
Well, since we both went to go see a concert last night, I will say that they serve some big ass cans at those concerts, and I regret getting the IPA to start my night out. So I would say probably not the IPA, but I do think it's so. Let's say if you're coming in for the original set. All in all, if you go from the start of the show to the end of the show, you're looking at about 4 hours. So I think with those big beers, probably 3 of those big beers max is ideal. It's very technical here. I had a lot of time to think about it since last night.
Yeah, I had some time to think about it this morning when I was trying to recover because I refused to pay for canned water at these things. So basically I didn't drink water for 4 hours while I was drinking beer. So I was like, you know what I need to do? I need to just not go like super aggressive ahead of time. But, you always kind of have a few before you go a lot of times. I think that's where you need to focus on. Get a couple in early. And then when you get in there, just kind of get maintenance beers. and try to coast. I used to like try to pound them all the way through, and then it doesn't end well. I need to get in the habit of just, sipping and a maintenance beer, not like, getting all Talladega Nights and being front row when we're drunk.
Some angel wings, singing lead vocals, Leonard Skinner. But I mean, it is that first beer at a concert when they play your song.
Dude, that's the problem, is you're having such a good time. Good. It's so hard not to just like, another swig, another swig, another swig. And then I realized, like, I finished one and I was like, all right, I need to like slow down a little bit. But then like I put my can down and like another Talladega Nights reference, but I was like, I don't know what to do with my hands. I like need to be holding on to something. It just feels right.
I found myself doing this thing, like if one of the songs came on that I was really excited about, it's like my natural reaction was like, let's drink to that and like take a big old swig. It's just every time.
100%. So yeah, like the goal is to do maintenance, but I feel like in practice it's kind of impossible. Anyway, what are your thoughts on this one, Drew?
So with this one, I definitely get the vanilla. It's good. But I love coffee roastiness, and I'm not getting an overwhelming roastiness on this one. I almost get more roastiness from like the base than I do for this one. I almost get more bourbon and vanilla. How about you?
I'm glad. I thought I was losing my mind. I was like, there's coffee in this one, and it's less roasty than the normal version. I definitely got some of the vanilla, but yeah, I feel like the vanilla apparently masked the roastiness and the bourbon barrel age, frankly. Like, it almost just seems like just an Imperial milk stout, period, not barrel aged.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised.
I mean, it's still good, but I think I would pick just the base over this one. I was excited because I was like, coffee and vanilla, like those are my two favorite things, and it's a little too much vanilla.
Yeah, like going into this, this was the one I was most excited about. I mean, normally it would be like, oh, the older one should be the one I'm most excited about, but like I mentioned that like that age taste that can sometimes creep in, and I was like a little concerned about that. So yeah, this was one I had circled, but honestly, it's in third for me. Which, like you said, it's still really good. I'm still going to finish it, but we're dealing with a high bar here.
Yeah, after that 2020, it's going to be it's a tough battle for all the rest of them. So as we move to our last one, which I'll remind the listeners is the Imperial Milk Stout with coconut, pecans, cocoa nibs, and vanilla. That's a lot. Before we go to that, Ryan, we had the reason we're all here together in the great city of Cyprus is your daughter had a birthday party today, and there was also a pretty big event that happened. Is there any exciting news that you would like to share with our listeners today, Ryan?
I'd love to. Nothing like taking advantage of one kid's birthday party to announce a second kid hijack that person's special day.
They're gonna be bringing this up in therapy for the rest of their life.
So yeah, no, our daughter knew that my wife was pregnant, and we took advantage of the fact that family was going to be over, told them to come a little bit early, and we did a little mini gender reveal before the birthday party, and we will be having a boy. We'll have a little son to join our daughter, a boy and a girl.
Congratulations, Ryan.
Thanks, man. We're splitting the difference because Drew here's got all girls, and the other half of this family, guest of the show, Will, they have a second boy on the way, so it's all boys on that side, all girls on the other side. We're split in the middle, one girl and one boy.
So I was trying to do some mental math while you were saying that about the beering ain't easy kid count. So
yeah, I got a little lost there. I had to get it back on track.
I got lost too, but it's okay. Listeners probably got lost as well, but it's still an exciting event. So if you include Adam in this mix here, where our count will be 3 boys and 4 girls total for the Beering Ain't Easy podcast. So
we may have lost all of our beer cred, but we're maintaining our dad cred for sure.
Dad life.
All right, are we ready to move on to this last one?
Yeah. Let's Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Look, Drew already said it, but yes, this is the coconut pecans, cocoa nibs, and vanilla. We have to say it a million times because there's a million ingredients. So
And
there we go.
cheers.
I just whiffed on the first cheers, by the way.
It's all good. No one else saw it.
Yeah, I promise it wasn't the 11% beers. It was because it was crossbody, and I just came up short.
So what are your thoughts like on the nose on this one? Because I feel like this one, out of all of them, had the strongest nose. Well, maybe not the strongest, but the most unique nose. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, I'm trying to place that. I guess it's probably the pecans, I guess I'm getting.
Yeah, that's what I was getting. I was getting pecans.
Say, like, reading the ingredients, I was like, I don't know. I didn't know what to expect, but I'm like, it's really hard to decipher what I'm getting here.
Yeah, I'm staring at the description and I'm trying to like get those flavors when I taste it. I definitely smell the pecans. I taste the pecans. I get a slight hint of vanilla, but it's not as strong as the last one we had. But I definitely get those cocoa nibs. It's a little more chocolatey. I'm having trouble connecting with the coconut though. I'm going to try for another sip.
Yeah, I'm not getting coconut anywhere. I smelled the pecans, but not really tasting it.
Mm-hmm. Still roasty. It's very roasty still.
Yeah.
Roastier than the vanilla one.
Yeah, I think I get, predominantly vanilla. And yeah, I get like the chocolate, kind of that chocolatey aftertaste kind of is where I get chocolate the most.
Yeah, it's almost like a fullness at the end. Like it's almost like a heaviness with the chocolate at the end.
There you go. Bringing it with the descriptors too.
Boom. If we make it through a few more sips of these stouts, I may be back to, this is a great beer, y'all.
It's got that stout flavor.
Yeah, it's got that real roasty stout flavor.
Yeah, for the listeners at home, go ahead and take a drink every time we say roasty.
That should be a great game that we just do in every episode. Is like pick a word that we know we're going to abuse. Every time we say nucular.
So I feel like we dissected this last one more than any other one, just obviously because the number of ingredients, we could actually like kind of parse them out. But as far as power rankings here, where do you put this one?
I actually have this one at number 2. Even though there's a lot going on, the cocoa nibs, even though it's brewed in the same year, it gives it a little more sweetness. It takes out some of that bitterness. But then that 2020, the bitterness dropped out and it was just freaking silky and delightful and like one of the best things I've tasted in a long time. So that one obviously is a strong power number 1, but I kind of like this variant.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to be boring and agree with you. There's like, when you were describing it, it like clicked with me. It's like, it's just, there's a richness there that's not there with the other ones. So I agree with you. I like the 2020. It's just like great, frankly. And then, yeah, this variant with all the different additives, adjuncts just has a richness on the finish that's an enjoyable, lingering flavor that the other ones kind of fall off, and this one just like kind of stays, and it makes you want to have another sip.
Heck yeah. I have a technical question for you here.
Oh.
And it's about Untappd, so it's not really not that important. So I just was thinking about this. I don't know why. I was like, oh, I'm going to Untappd rate this 2020, but like, how do you account for the time at which you rate a beer versus when the beer was made? So like you and I, for a while there, we were drinking a lot of the Divine Reserve beers from St. Arnold, but we were drinking them way too late. We were drinking them like 6 years later than they were supposed to be drank. And so like you want to check it in, but you're checking it in 6 years later. So how do you account for that? So like if I drank this 2020 a year ago, maybe I would only give it a 4, but then I drink it right now and it's like a 4.5. You know, like, or a 4.75. I mean, this is a damn good stout. I mean, how does that work, man?
That'd be so interesting if they like kept that data and were able to like chart the ratings over time and see like the age of a beer and like a bell curve basically of seeing like once it like matures and you see the ratings start to climb and then it reaches past its peak and you start seeing the ratings fall off. That'd be pretty cool.
So we need to create a new service that's not Untappd, but you have to enter in the born on date of your can before you put your rating in. And so it takes the data. So if someone gives a 3.0 rating to like a really good IPA, but it's like 7 months old, then it like discredits the score.
Sounds like a good episode idea.
Because I mean, like, let's be honest. Like, if I grabbed a Spindle Tap Hazy and I drank it 9 months later, I would probably not think it was as good as if I drank it at 3 months. So
true.
And then a stout is probably the opposite. You're like, okay, if I drink it right when it's produced, it's significant.
Here's a question for you. What do you think the shelf life is of a fruited sour? Do those things get better with age or worse?
I feel like that's a targeted question. So Ryan and I bought some fruited sours, and I overaged them unintentionally. And they were they were about a year old. And the funny thing about fruited sours is I guess these started to ferment somewhat because they were very carbonated, and they unfortunately were drain pours. Very unfortunate.
That is unfortunate because I was excited. It was a nice little change up. It was going to be a little palate cleanser. I'd been, drinking some IPAs, and wasn't what I was hoping for. I guess
wasn't the experience you were hoping for.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you talk about like a traditional sour, though, you can age those, right?
I mean, yeah, those are like the good sours, like the ones that like people like really go out of their way for. They're aged for like a year more.
Mm-hmm. I guess when you jam a bunch of like fruit puree into beers, then it's kind of like when you get orange juice and you have it in your fridge for too long, and then you grab the side of the orange juice and it's like, why is it so pressurized? And you open the top and it's like, tss. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Now I got a mimosa.
Yeah, and like the issue with the particular sours we were drinking was they were kettle sours, so they're kind of like forced sours instead of kind of the naturally occurring ones, which obviously happens a lot slower, so they'll last a lot longer kind of in that window. Whereas, I feel like kettle sours probably like get to that point and get past the point a lot quicker.
Well, all I know is that our recommendation for the Beer and Ain't Easy podcast is to age your Nuke the Whales 2 years or more. It's delicious, but don't age your fruited sour at the same timeline.
Yeah, to put a bow on this discussion about Untappd and kind of the ranking of the beer over its lifetime. Do you remember? They might still do this, but I haven't been paying attention. But you remember when Stone had the beers that was like they had the drink after?
Oh yeah,
and then they had the drink before, and they like basically produced them to like not come to maturity until a certain time, or it was like, there's nothing that's going to preserve this beer, so you better drink it fast. That was like a very cool, fun.
Oh, that was
thing.
A great marketing campaign.
Yeah, I was like so into that. I was like, I got to get this, and then I'm going to buy two, and then I'm going to drink one now, and then actually drink one on the date that they say, and I'm going to compare them. It was like, dude, that like just feeding the chase. Like that was it.
It was such a great idea because you look at it and if you've got it near that timeline, it's like, oh, I better drink it now. Or it's like, oh, I can't drink it now because it says I can't. I don't know. That was a terrible ad.
Yeah, it always felt like you were breaking the rules if you drank it early.
On the wild side. All right, Ryan, I need to ask you a question. I'm noticing that you have elected to take our 2020 stout and put it in a Eureka Heights fancy tasting glass. What's the story behind this glass?
So this was the glass they gave away for their anniversary party. It is it's basically a miniature version of a tiki glass without like the stem and base. Do you think the shape of this glass had any effect on the taste? The taste we had?
Oh man! After our glassware episode, it's possible that that's the reason why this is the number one pick. And I noticed that there is a small AF after the fancy, so this is the fancy AF tasting glass.
That it is. I missed that. That's
small details.
That's amazing. going back and forth with my tasting now between the OG, and the one with all the adjuncts. And I stand by my statement about the richness of the finish of the adjunct one. But man, that roastiness of that OG is, that's what I'm here for when I'm here for a stout. So this one's tough. It's like I'm really on the fence. I'm gonna stand by what I said. I'm gonna keep the adjunct one ahead, but I got to give a shout out just to the base recipe. They got it on point.
The OG, that's the one I finished first. So I know I rated it third, but it tells me that I still really like that.
So I think we have a consensus here. We got the coffee and vanilla, which I think was maybe the favorite going in, coming in last year with what do we decide? Is the OG number 3 or have you bumped that up to number 2?
I'm going to stick to my guns too. I'm going to keep it at number 3, but at very close tie with number 2, which is our adjunct filled coconut, pecans, cocoa nibs, and vanilla.
Yeah, it's almost like it was like a 1, like a 2A, a 2B, and then like a 3 almost.
Yeah. The middle 2 were neck and neck. There was a clear winner and there was a clear loser. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah. I mean,
loser is a hard word. I know Ryan has trouble putting the word loser in front of Eureka Heights anything.
Yeah, completely unbiased over here. No, I feel like this is what the listeners should drink every time they hear me say this, but like there are no losers here. These were all well above average, I would say. Like these are like very good. Coming on the heels when I just said I'm completely unbiased. But seriously, like I'd love all of these, and I'm very happy that we were able to like try all of these side by side.
I'm pleasantly surprised that we did this because I kind of going in thought that they'd taste a lot more similar than they did. And there's definitely, this has given me a big appreciation for aging beers, for sure.
We're only 28 episodes into our second season, and I will convert you yet to a Eureka Heights fan.
I'm starting to write down on Post-it notes so that I can buy beers and organize them in a highly engineered manner. I mean, we read the can that said that they didn't know they needed to nuke something. Is that why they're nuking whales? I mean, why? What did whales ever do to you?
I mean, if you got to nuke something, I mean, do you have a better choice? I just love the implication I just had. I was just like, you got to nuke something. I mean, might as well be the whales, right? I mean, there's nothing else you can nuke. Like, come on, like.
How about the moon?
Duh.
Nuke the moon.
Nuke the moon so all those shards of cheese can come back.
When I think of nuking things that actually do jack shit, I think of Independence Day. When they try to fucking nuke those aliens and it just like bounces off of them. They're like, give them the middle finger and they're like...
Was that in the atmosphere or was that in space where that happened?
I think it was in the atmosphere.
Yeah,
it seems like that would have some negative implications.
They glossed right over that one.
The nukes won't work, but let's give the aliens a virus, and it will kill them.
If you want me to tell you I'm an engineer without explicitly telling you that I'm an engineer, I watched a YouTube video the other day about setting off a nuclear bomb in the atmosphere, and how the bomb itself wouldn't actually do damage, but the electromagnetic pulse about the damage that would actually do to the energy grid.
Whoa. So like an EMP?
An EMP, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not great.
Yeah.
And these are the weird rabbit holes I find myself in from time to time.
But what would happen if you tried to nuke a whale?
So,
if it's underwater, does it have the same effect in the atmosphere?
Given the choice between setting a bomb off in the atmosphere on an alien spaceship or just nuking a whale, I would nuke a whale.
All right, PETA, if you're listening, arrest this man.
Sorry, PETA. But watch this YouTube video. I do my own research.
Oh, this is from a Simpsons episode. This makes so much sense now.
Nuke the whales? You don't really believe that, do you?
I don't know.
Gotta nuke something.
Touche.
Ladies and gentlemen, 11% stouts.
Yeah, this is going off the rails quick.
All right, y'all. Thanks for bearing with us on this 11% stout episode. It's stout season officially. Age your stouts. It's totally worth it. And go nucular from time to time. Ryan, you want to close us out?
Sounds like you just did. I mean, yeah, if you got a special stout and you're coming up on a year, apparently just hold on to it and age it for 2 years, because that clearly seems to work. I'd like to humbly ask all our listeners to give us good ratings on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, so that next time the Astros win the World Series, we can hitch a ride on one of those buses and hopefully get smoked in the head by a White Claw.
So go throw a beer at your local politician and have a good night. This has been a Beering Ain't Easy production out of Houston, Texas. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook, or at our website at crossthestreamsmedia.com, where you can find our podcast and all the other great sister podcasts on our network.
Has been a Cross the Streams Media Podcast.
We're changing this from a beer podcast to a propaganda podcast.
First birds out are real.
Yeah. Have you heard about this? Like, I don't trust birds anymore. I don't know about you, man.
Can we nuke them too?
Here we go. That's our next homebrew. It's called Nuke the Birds.
It's a new thing.
I love it so much.